Hey guys, it's Ian. I just want to do a quick history on going first or second since the new system of turn one you can't attack and you can outplay supporters was introduced. So in 2020, in going into the Sword and Shield format, going first, it changed from you used to be able to play supporters turn one to now you can't. This really came with cards like Zacian V, which were really strong setup cards where on your first turn you could draw three just using its ability and your turn ends. So the card design direction was going a little bit different than it was in the past where decks were more reliant on needing a supporter turn one to start accelerating its game plan. We've seen this change a lot with how decks pick first and second because a lot of decks at the time picked first when that first happened because it just made the most sense. You get your energy attachment down, that's very important, and you drew your cards. This has now changed with really how each deck functions. For example, if we fast forward a couple years, post-pandemic, more back when regionals started back up in March 2022, we saw a lot of decks continue to choose first because being the first player to attack with a Arceus V-Star if you're playing a mirror match was just so important. Being able to use a supporter turn one wasn't really a necessity when the card power level honestly was a little bit lower than it is now. So the little extra boosticity just wasn't really all that necessary. Going into around when Lugia V-Star was printed, I would say that things may slightly started to shift because a lot more decks kind of won that turn one supporter, but they still had to choose first just because of how powerful Lugia V-Star was if it got a turn to attack before you got to use two turns. So people are still choosing first, but I think the real shift from going first blind was correct without really knowing what match we were against to it's a really consideration / it's starting to become wanting to just go second as every deck around now. The biggest reason for that is the reintroduction of baby cards because cards like Cleffa, we're going to see Budew, are just so powerful along with your supporter that you really just want to be able to use as much toxicity as possible, especially in a Professor's Research format. What I mean by a Professor's Research format is a format where Professor's Research is very powerful because you need just raw card draw in order to keep up your opponent. And a lot of decks you can see, even decks that don't play that card, are built in a way where they get a little bit lucky. They can have these crazy explosive draws that can handle these research decks, but also can have these really awkward draws where you can't really play the game. So I feel that right now it's a little bit better to go second because that turn one also doesn't really matter that much because the consistency is a little bit lower, even though power is higher than it used to be, which is a little weird because Squawkability plus Research and Cleffa turn one is just so powerful in decks like Regidrago where now you just want to go second most of the time because, especially in mirror match for Regidrago, if you're going first, it's just really awkward because you have to hit a lot going into your second turn to not use your V-Star, and if you use your V-Star turn two in a mirror, it's really tough. So just choosing second now is just so powerful because of that. Along with that, the fast decks have gotten a lot better than it used to be. Decks like Mew VMAX, yes, it can get turn one metal out of knockout on like a V or something else really, high HP and get free 2 prizes, or even 3 sometimes, get ahead. Now, the decks are a lot more consistent at doing that. Decks like Raging Bolt, Roaring Moon EX, Cloth, decks like that just have such a great way of getting these turn one attacks, and now you kind of have to go second so you get a better setup. You can't just have your one important Pokemon play. Now you need like 2 or 3 depending on the matchup. So going second is just so important now. And I think that this will keep going this way where more and more decks will just want to choose second, except if the metagame says or it's just correct to go first. But I think right now it's really just decks are shifting to just going second blind because it's just so important right now to get your best setup because of Cleffa and really Squawkability. Alright guys, that's all I had for today. Until next time, Ian out. Peace.